For the most part, my home is clean. Dishes get done, counters get wiped. I even keep a cordless vacuum cleaner handy to do battle with the dust bunnies. So, imagine my surprise when I received a bad Airbnb review from the owners of a charming cottage in Cape Cod where my family and I spent a 2-week vacation last summer. Before we left the cottage, my husband and I tidied up, following the host's instructions. The house lacked some basic supplies, like extra toilet paper and cleaning supplies. But the property was handsome and the host was responsive enough, so I wrote an innocuous review and called it a day. The next morning, still floating in post-vacation bliss, I opened my email and was snapped back to reality. I was messy. The stove was grimy, the dining table greasy. Someone left cereal O's downstairs. I'm not even sure what cereal O's are, but there they were on my public profile, tainting my permanent record. My 10-year-old son was mortified. "We got a bad review," he gasped. All vacation, I had kept the kids in line with the threat of public shaming: no shrieking in the yard or we could get a bad review. Yet, in the end, my misdeeds were what brought us down. Would anyone ever rent to me again? It was a cold reminder that we live in an age of constant feedback. Hop out of an Uber and your phone prompts you to leave a review. Only 3 stars, you say? Was the driver not friendly enough? Look for a place to eat, and invariably you'll spend half an hour on Yelp reading various perspectives on the merits of an egg roll. I admit that I partake in ratings culture. When I booked that cottage online, I sifted through the reviews, trying to glean whether the location was as pristine as the pictures suggested. I didn't spend much time wondering how those depictions made the host feel. I just wanted to make sure the place wasn't a dump. I understand that hosts want reassurances, too. No one wants to rent to a person who used the last rental as a temporary brothel or drug den. But if you think you belong on the good side of the bell curve, it hurts to hear someone tell you that perhaps you do not. When such a critique comes at the end of a long and intimate experience like a stay in an Airbnb house, you can't help but wonder if it's true. Maybe I am an incompetent housekeeper. Stay in someone's home long enough and you feel like you know the person, even if you have never met. For 2 weeks, I admired my host's book collection. She liked Mary Oliver, my husband's favorite poet, and looked at her artwork. I glanced at the muck boots in the garage, and imagined a quiet woman pruning those gorgeous hydrangeas in the garden. I spotted a box of art supplies in the closet, and wondered how long she had spent painting that seascape in the bedroom. In text messages, I told her that we enjoyed the house and let her know when I noticed ants by the front door. Her replies were curt, but she gave me directions for how to address the issue, so I didn't hold it against her. I assumed she saw me as I saw myself, a considerate and attentive house guest. Instead, she saw me as a naughty one. "Of course you take it personally," said Paul Levinson, a professor of communications and media studies at Fordham University and the author of New Media. As I sat at my computer, absorbing the criticism, my mind drifted to the review I had left of the house. Since the process is double-blind, guests and hosts can only see each other's reviews after both have written them. You cannot revise what you wrote in light of new information from the other side, and no wonder. Like in the aftermath of a heated argument, I replayed the words I had written, imagining what I would have said if I had let loose. "I'm talking about that ant trail and the scant cleaning supplies. Hello, a bottle of Lysol certainly would have helped get the job done. Since I couldn't rewrite my own assessment, I instead fired off a response to hers, in defense of my efforts. I hit send and my response appeared publicly below the one she had left of me. It didn't take long for the doubt to creep in. Maybe, by responding, I looked not only messy, but crazy, too. Mr. Levinson seemed to agree. The best response is no response, he said. You wind up looking defensive no matter what you say. Airbnb, however, sees such an exchange in a different light. That's how the system should work, said Nick Shapiro, the global head of trust and risk management at Airbnb. What's the alternative? Here's one alternative: not having my cleaning skills publicly parsed. Other Airbnb guests have also felt burned by a harsh critique. Ulrika Goldstein, 42, a book editor in Reno, Nevada, was shocked by a bad review she received after staying in an apartment in Kuala Lumpur with her family in August 2016. I was terribly offended, she said. The apartment was left in a sorry state, with a dirty stove and toilet, according to the host. But Ms. Goldstein had not seen the criticism coming. The host had stopped by on checkout day and stayed to chat for a while, never voicing any concerns. I feel like when you stay in an Airbnb, it's a community. There's a give and take and trust, she said. In this case, Ms. Goldstein felt the circle of trust had been broken. How much does a bad review harm you? It's hard to say. But I suspect that naysayers have a way of sounding like soothsayers. I see just one negative review, and it makes me wonder, said Turner Wright, the digital media manager for AirbnbHell.com, a website that chronicles Airbnb miseries. Maybe that's the real one. Maybe Mr. Wright was right. Maybe I would be shunned. When it came time to book another stay a few months later, this time in Northampton, Massachusetts, I admit, my heart was racing. What if they reject us? My son asked. To improve our chances, I wrote a witty note, one that would paint a picture of a responsible and charming little family. Maybe the owner would fall for it. The host, a superhost, in Airbnb speak, or someone considered experienced and a role model for other hosts, accepted my request within minutes. I had dodged a blacklist. These reviews are meant to make us better versions of ourselves next time that stove will sparkle, but maybe they just make us more neurotic. When we arrived in Northampton after a long drive, tired and disheveled, our host let us into the apartment. Don't worry about cleaning up when you leave, she said. We'll take care of it. I wanted to believe that she said this to be helpful, but I couldn't help but wonder if she really said it because she knew I was a slob.